Hello, everyone. My name is Jane Mendita, and I am here with the Canada InfoNet Pre-Arrival Services Mentoring Program. Today's guest is our mentor, none other than Annie Ewing. She is a business development representative, and she works for a tech company or a tech sales company, right? And Annie.
Yeah, it's a I work in sales for a tech company that is focused on travel and tourism industry.
Thank you so much. Okay, so let's start with a couple of questions. I'm quite excited to be with you today because I'd like to know more about your experiences in mentoring. So let's get started with the first question. So, can you tell me what were your motivations for signing up as a mentor with Canada InfoNet?
Well, when I was reached out to by Anne, your colleague, several years ago, I had actually had a few experiences myself of living abroad. I had spent a couple years living in Europe, and I know what that experience feels like to be a newcomer in a new country, trying to make your way through an unknown culture and particularly an unknown work environment. So it wasn't something that I was looking for, but when Anne contacted me, it just felt like the perfect opportunity.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for sharing. So tell me, you said that Anne contacted you because she was looking for a mentor at that time, right? So tell me, aside from that, how did you get started with your mentoring? Have you had any mentors before? Because you mentioned that you went and traveled to other countries as well, and you know the experience of being a newcomer to a country. So tell me more about your previous experience, if you have had any mentors before.
I haven't had any official mentors like this mentorship program, but there absolutely have been people in my life, either colleagues or friends, who have stepped up to help me learn a new industry or learn how to be successful in a particular career or in networking.
Mhm.
And um, I've I've recognized those experiences as just as how valuable they've been.
Mhm.
So it felt like an easy role to step into myself to be able to do that than for somebody else.
Mhm. Mhm. When was the first time you started mentoring?
That's a good question. It was probably somewhere around 2017, I think.
Wow.
2017, 2018, I think. Yeah, I've worked with a few mentees now through the
Wow,
program.
that's nice. That's so nice. Okay. So so you've worked with a few mentees, and at Canada InfoNet we have pre-arrival mentees, meaning mentees are still outside Canada, right? So can you tell me what is your approach in mentoring internationally trained or internationally experienced professionals who are yet to arrive in Canada?
I think the first most important piece is to build a little bit of rapport, try and find out more about them, why they're coming to Canada, what
Mm-hmm.
they know already about the country, and maybe try and find something that you have in common that you can be excited about together.
Mm-hmm.
But from there, it's really digging down into what experience do they currently have and what experience would they ideally like to get upon arrival. And sometimes you have people who are really looking for kind of any and every opportunity. They just want to get that first Canadian experience so that it's easier then to launch their career. Some people are really specific about what they're looking for. And so it's a matter of asking open-ended questions
Mm-hmm.
and listening to what they say and encourage them to not feel like they have to be polite and say the perfect thing, but to really just say what they're truly looking for, because that then allows me to be the most helpful I can to them.
Now, those are very good ways or approaches that you've mentioned. So, for example, when you said building the rapport, I guess building the trust, right? And then you also said asking open-ended questions so you could have more information from them. And the other thing that you also said is that I really like is like finding commonalities, right, between you and the mentee. And I think these are very good points for conversation. It's just not going directly to the mentoring partnership, but getting to know more your mentee. So thank you so much. That those are great. Also tips when it comes to mentoring. Okay, so what information? So you said that you ask open-ended questions and you try to find more information and get more down to the specifics as to the goals, right, of the mentees. So what kind of information do you share about some of the challenges of finding employment in Canada with your mentees, and what advice do you give to address these challenges?
It's an interesting balance because you want to be both optimistic and realistic with them. So, um, it's always going to be challenging getting a job in a new country. There are always going to be um, roadblocks, maybe from a cultural perspective, or because your experience isn't recognized in exactly the same way when you arrive,
Mhm.
or you just don't have that network that somebody who has lived here for years would already have built up. Um, and so I think it's important to make all of these things clear so that your mentee has a realistic understanding of what the Canadian job environment looks like. But every time you present a challenge, to also present some kind of solution. So,
Mm,
for example, if somebody is brand new and they don't know anyone in the country and they don't have that network, then and I think this is in the networking tips and suggestions
mm,
that JVS provides anyway. But
mhm.
give your mentee a number of ideas of how they could start building that network. So even though we're all remote right now, figuring out what are some of those virtual networking events that they can go to. How can they use LinkedIn? How can they really make their LinkedIn shine? How can they reach out to random strangers on LinkedIn that have interesting jobs or interesting companies, and feel confident in connecting with them? So anytime that you can present a solution to one of those potential roadblocks, is a way to reassure them that it's not going to be impossible, even though there are real challenges to face.
Right. That's an interesting point because, as you can see, the mentees that we have at in Canada InfoNet are mentees who are still about to arrive in Canada, right? And and you mentioned that, you know, some of the challenges would include networking, like they lack um, network, and even though people or mentees, I'm sorry, mentees have arrived already, they still lack network, right? So having or giving them the option of or providing them solutions, as you said, like not just challenge, not just the, how do you say it? Not just focusing on the challenge, but providing them options, really gives them um, enough opportunity to probably network already, even before arriving in Canada. So that's a great advice as well as a mentor. And
And
of course, when they have, yeah, go on, please. Sorry.
I would just also say that one of the great things about JVS is that your team makes a strong effort to connect people in a really related industry. So
Mm,
something that I've been really excited about is that when I am being introduced to my mentee and
mhm,
I figure out what it is that they're looking to do, I can think through my own network and be introducing them to people that they can talk to so that they at least get some practice from people that are already kind of like a warm connection, and that makes it maybe not so scary to go out and try it on their own.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So let me move on to the next question. So, as a mentor, what advice would you give to anyone who is signing up to be a mentee? And how do they make the most of this mentoring partnership?
Right. So advice to mentees,
Mm-hmm.
potential mentees. Um, I would say ask all of your questions. Um, don't be afraid to. Uh, this is obviously a professional relationship, but you can also build a friendship
Mm-hmm.
with your mentor. I have actually had that experience then of keeping in touch with my mentees after the official program has ended, and because we built a really warm relationship. So I know that in certain countries there are um, there's a certain etiquette, professional etiquette, that requires a high level of formality, maybe not ever saying no in response to a question, or um, not, or being a bit hesitant to ask anything that you might um, think is a little unorthodox. And I think um, particularly as Canadians, we're largely a pretty open
Mm-hmm.
population, and anybody who has signed up to be a mentor is looking to help you as much as possible,
Mm-hmm.
and looking to also give you the best value out of that relationship. So I would just say be confident and ask all the questions that you have.
That's great. That's great. Yes, I guess when I first came to Canada, I was also a newcomer myself, and I didn't have an opportunity to have a mentor, and I was so not sure as to what were my next steps would be. So I think really having a mentor and asking all the information that you need in terms of where to go and get resources and other kinds of questions is really really important, and this would really make the mentoring partnership moving because of the kind of the questions that you might be asking. So feel free to ask questions. That's right. I really like your point when you said ask a lot of questions, right? Um, Now we're nearing the end of this interview. So one final question that I would like to ask Annie here is, if you could give only one tip for those who are coming to Canada and looking for their first job, what would it be?
So I think people are hesitant to use LinkedIn as a strong networking tool. And networking, just to be clear, is nerve-wracking for Canadians as well.
Mhm.
So it's not something that anybody, I think, has like an inherent natural level of comfort with. But
Mhm.
you kind of have to push that aside. And if you see a company on LinkedIn that you're interested in, reach out to the people who work there, even if they're complete and total strangers. Um, Maybe 75% of the time they will be willing to connect with you and to have a conversation if you ask them. If you put a little message when you send the connect request,
Mhm.
just saying like, I'm a newcomer to Canada, I'm super interested in your company, I'd love a chance to connect with you and learn more.
Mhm.
Would you be open to connecting with me? And I would say most of the time people will be open, and they might even be thrilled to connect with you. And that will open doors to more conversations. And the more people you know, the easier it will be to find those jobs.
Wow, great advice, Annie. Thank you so much. Like I've gotten several or a lot of good advice from you. Like for example, building the rapport through looking for shared experiences, shared interests. Other one is asking a lot of questions, and the other one, the final thing that you said is, when it comes to networking, do not be afraid of using LinkedIn. Leverage your LinkedIn, right?
Annie, before we end this interview, do you have any final thoughts to share?
Sure, there are a couple things that come to mind. One of them is your mentor will have been through all the networking and interviewing and job application processes that you are about to launch into. So you can ask them maybe to do a bit of a role play with you and test out your early networking skills so that you get it done with somebody who feels like a comfortable, safe person to do that with before you go and do it in real life. And I would also say that when you do arrive in Canada and you start to put out those job applications, you're going to be encouraged to make those applications online by clicking a button, sending your resume, sending a cover letter. But it's always a great idea to see if you can find somebody online on LinkedIn or through your network that works at that place. Even if they're a total stranger to you, again, I would recommend reach out to them and so that they can put a face to the application that you've sent in. Because even as a Canadian, I can say I can send a ton of job applications out. And if I don't make that personal connection, I might not hear back. So I really encourage people to give that a try.
Wow. Thank you so much, Annie. It's so great to have you here, and I really, really appreciate it. So there you have it. We have Annie Ewing, one of our mentors for JVS with the Canada InfoNet pre-arrival services. Have a nice day, everyone.